I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
The consent agenda consists of the following. Approve the minutes of the following. City Council work session, September 20th, 2022. City Council regular meeting, September 20th, 2022. City Council work session, October 4th, 2022. City Council regular meeting, October 4th, 2022. Park Commission meeting, August 8th, 2022. Planning Commission meeting, September 12th, 2022. B, schedule a canvassing board meeting for Tuesday, November 15th, 2022 at 4:30 p.m. for the City Council to canvass the results of the November 8th, 2022 general election. C, authorize the acceptance of a Compeer Financial Fund for Rural American Grant for the Winsted Fire Department in the amount of $1,690 to be utilized for the purchase of a rescue auger and drill kit to conduct grain bin rescues. D, authorize the purchase of a rescue auger and drill driver kit for the Winsted Volunteer Fire Department to conduct grain bin rescues for the amount not to exceed $1,690. E, approve a hayride sponsored by the Winsted Holding Activities that unite people, what up, on designated streets in the city of Winsted as approved by the Winsted Police Chief on Saturday, October 22nd, 2022, between the hours of 1 and 4 p.m. F, approve the pledged securities and Security Bank and Trust Company as purchased for the city of Winsted for the month of September 2022. G, approve the building permit report for the month of September 2022. H, approve the financial report for the month of August 2022. I, claims, approve the claims list for October 18th, 2022. That's the consent agenda, and I need a motion.
Go ahead.
Motion to do it.
I have a motion. I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. There's no public hearings this evening. Let's see. Under old business, we have a memorandum for understanding construction of wetland. Adam.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. This agenda item underneath our old business is in regards to the memo of understanding that was drafted between the City of Winsted and McLeod County Soil and Water Conservation in regards to a proposed wetland constructed area on the north side of Shady Creek Drive. So previously, the City Council authorized city staff to draft this memo of understanding to construct said wetland. City staff had presented some of the details of the proposed project to the City Council, and the City Council had received it favorably. So after we drafted the memo of understanding, Soil and Water Conservation District did make two comments and request two modifications to that agreement. The first modification was in regards to the allocation of a lump sum of $50,000 for design and construction of the wetland on the parcel. Funding to be provided as part of the Clean Water Fund and Multi-Purpose Drainage Management Grant received by McLeod County Soil and Water Conservation District. Funding to be distributed to the city in one lump sum upon the completion, certification, and SWCD approval. What that means is the city will need to front the payment of the project until it is finalized. The Soil and Water Conservation District Board approves all payments projects once the project has been certified and deemed completed to design by the licensed engineer. The SWCD staff would work with the contract holder to complete a cost share payment voucher along with the certification of completion documentation. And so once that's all completed, then we would receive the lump sum of the $50,000 grant. So again, the implications are that we would fund the entire project cost up front until we receive those grant dollars after completion. Again, as a reminder, the project is estimated to be approximately $96,000. Item 2 on their request in regard to project funding allocation, complying with the state of Minnesota's Grants Administration Manual. The City of Winston will need to provide documentation for wetland certification before SWCD will turn over the grant dollars for the project. As an additional component of the project, the Board of Water and Soil Resources also requires an easement agreement, as well as the Drainage Authority will have to agree to the terms within the easement agreement. So what this is saying is that due to this request, so again, we don't have, the city staff agrees or does not have any concerns with these requests from the Soil and Water Conservation District. But again, that last statement does require them to have an easement over that wetland project area. Again, so right now that's city property with no easements. We'd be granting an easement then to the Soil and Water Conservation District as part of this wetland construction. With that being said, city staff and the city engineer did not have any concern with those requests and are recommending that we continue to proceed with this agreement with the the Soil and Water Conservation District. That said, is there any questions for me this evening on the proposed changes to the memo of understanding?
I had one, but you already answered it.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, lost.
Approximately how long does it take to complete what they want to do?
Great. We believe that construction will both start and be completed in 2023. So I would say we'll be holding those funds, right? I don't know if that's the right term, but we'd be upfronting the project for approximately 6 to 9 months. Now, what I would propose is that ultimately, we'd be funding it through our capital improvement fund. We would set up a project fund first, and then if it need to be funded, in terms of just during audit time, we'd be funding that through our streets capital improvement fund, as it's ultimately a stormwater project.
I think the last time we talked about this, we asked if this was going to affect any of those homeowners.
Correct.
Is it?
It will not. It'll be on it'll be on public property, excuse me.
Any other questions? If not, I'll look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor and city administrator to execute a memorandum of understanding between the Soil and Water Conservation District of McLeod County, the SWCD, and the city of Winston for the construction of natural resources conservation services, the NRCS 656 wetland on the city of Winston parcel number 21.096.0230.
I have the motion. Can I have a second, please?
I will second
I
that.
have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item. Again, this is under new business. New business item is the city council priorities update. Adam.
Sure. Back on January 19th of 2022, the city council conducted its annual goal setting retreat, which outlines the council's vision for the upcoming year and provides guidance to city staff regarding certain programs, projects, and services. As part of this process, city council adopted several city council priorities, which are a set of outcome-based goals with quarterly milestones. So this evening, we are reporting on the third quarter milestones and presenting them to the city council. Like I said, this process started back in January of 2022. During the presentation, I'll discuss how the 15 priorities for 22 were established and provide an update on specific 2022 priority statuses. The 2022 priorities are year-long goals, as I stated, designed to advance programs, projects, and services prioritized by the City Council. These priorities are consistent with previously adopted plans, motions, resolutions, and ordinances. The priorities are outcome-based and used to measure the success of both, or the projects of both the city staff as well as consultants. For the priority to be considered, it must be under the direct influence of the city council and city staff. And as I stated, the priorities are used to direct city staff, city commissions, as well as consultants in their efforts on a day-to-day basis. On that date in January, city staff had 40 proposed priorities provided or discussed with the city council during that date. Of those 40 priorities, 15 were ultimately selected by the city council. Of those 15, 6 of them were carryovers from the previous years. And then 5 additional projects were recognized as likely taking up to 5 years for completion or would be ongoing. And those 5 projects include industrial park expansion, housing development options, water meter replacement, and Winston Lake water quality improvement. The city staff reports on the status of city council priorities through a traffic light system, and we have done so for numerous years now, with green being meaning that the project is on schedule and within budget, yellow indicating that the project is 1 quarter behind schedule or slightly exceeds current budget levels. Red means that the project is delayed by more than 1 quarter or significantly exceeds current budget levels. And red on hold indicates that the project is delayed due to external factors. Ultimately, the goal of the reporting system is to allow the city council to make informed decisions regarding project timelines and resource allocation. So when moving forward with the update, when we report on these, the priorities are traditionally reported against the matrix of the city value statements that were established in 2009. Those statements include fiscal responsibility, citizens as shareholders, excellence in quality and delivery of services, public trust, and leadership and planning. So within these value statements, we have 3 priorities underneath fiscal responsibility, 6 priorities underneath excellence in quality and delivery of services, 2 priorities underneath public trust, and 4 priorities underneath leadership and planning, with 2 of those priorities being in the yellow status underneath that value statement of excellence in quality and delivery of services. So moving on specifically to some of the projects that are in the green status, starting with item number 1, and this really goes in no particular order in terms of importance, just how it's listed within our priority statements. So item number 1 included the remediation of the blighted and dilapidated structures at 121 Baker Avenue East, and to develop a plan to remove the structures as a city project and market the lot as green space. So I am happy to announce or to present the fact that the city staff did execute the closing documents for the sale of that property on July 20th of 2022. As part of those closing documents, the property owner has until November 16th, 2022 to complete the demolition of the blighted structures on the property. So since the time of closing, the property owner has started that demo project process. I would estimate that he's maybe 30 to 40% complete. Recently, he submitted a phase 1 environmental analysis of the property. So this is coincides with the phase 1 that the city council did. He decided to get an additional phase 1, and there was certainly some differences between the one we had commissioned and the one he had done, as he did provide me his rendition of it. So again, I know that that's been done. Now he's in the process of having a regulated waste and asbestos survey done as required as recommended through the phase 1 that he had received. That is specific likely to the office portion of that building. Well, his plan is to have the bulk of the demo completed in the very near future, and then ultimately he may need an extension specifically in the office area, due to the fact that he's still waiting on the required asbestos analysis, and then, which, is part of that demo process. So we'll tackle that request if needed come November 16th, depending on how much of the rest of the demo has been completed. But we are seeing progress in that project after some stagnation of a few years and some patience required for a few years. Moving on to item number 6, the priority was to develop orderly annexation agreements to adjust the corporate limits of the city of Winston in order to ensure proper land use for future growth. Our Q3 milestone included review and annexation options with the city of Winston's land use consultant. That was met on September 20th and October 4th during work session. Since then, the city staff has been directed to schedule a meeting with Winston Township to review the city of Winston's future growth areas and hopefully discuss the idea of orderly annexation agreements. So again, I'm happy to report that we are moving forward with that priority. Then item number 13 was implement phase 1 of the plan to update and repair various sidewalk sections for the sidewalk inventory completed in 2019. So the Q3 milestone was to remove sidewalks per that phase 1 plan and replace the concrete sections as necessary. Again, I'm happy to report after numerous delays on this project that a high percentage of the removals have occurred. I would say we may have less than 10 to 15% left. And the concrete sections are scheduled to be replaced as part of the Pheasant Run and Winston on the Lake road project. We've worked with our engineers and we'll be using the same contractor that's being used on that road project to do this minor concrete work. With that being said, the base or the balance of the project will be for turf reestablishment, which will likely need to be completed in the spring as the growing season is coming to an end here this fall. But again, I'm happy to report that we've made significant strides in these 3 goal areas as they have been delayed for numerous reasons over the last year and maybe even 2 years. So that being said, is there any questions specific to any of the green status projects that are listed either here in the presentation or also within your packet?
Any comments, gentlemen, ladies?
If not, I will proceed with the yellow. We have 2 projects in the yellow status. So the first one is item number 3, develop an infrastructure maintenance and management plan for the Public Works Department. That is really staff dependent or dependent on staff time. And right now, the third quarter did not allow extensive time to proceed with that. Strictly with the budgeting process and some of the development projects we have in place. Item number 7 was to develop a plan and begin implementation of a plan to repair street lighting on Main Avenue, 1st Street North, and 2nd Street North, essentially our downtown area. I know there's a lot of frustration with the street lighting in these areas. If it was as simple as replacing some bulbs or some fuses, that would be done already. Unfortunately, the wiring underground is failing, and it's not in conduits. We can't just easily replace the wiring. It needs an extensive rehabilitation or redevelopment, get these streetlights where they need to be. And right now, our staff is waiting on a full project proposal from a contractor so the city council can make some decisions on how they want to proceed. I would assume the minute that we get that information that we need to make some approvals, the council will proceed accordingly, as we do have funding available within our budgets. With that being said, is there any questions on these yellow status projects? Again, recognizing that the city council did authorize a contractor to do some upfront work to put together that proposal, some upfront work needed, make some determination on potential project costs. Again, I feel like council's done what they can do to continue proceed with this. That being said, there's no other questions on the yellow status. We currently do not have any projects in the red status, so I will take any other questions that you may have regarding these priorities or any projects listed in your packet or those 15.
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment from many of the citizens of this city. Thank you for Baker Avenue. Apparently, they've been working on this for many, many, many years, long before you and I came on board.
Sure.
And you can actually physically see something's happening, and people are happy about that.
Yes, we certainly have some ways to go yet, and there's some high aspirations for that parcel property owner, and I look forward to seeing those come to fruition. But again, like you said, it's nice to see some movement on that property and progress being made.
Anything else, council? If not, the next item on the agenda is the organizational report from the Winsted Public Library. Katie and Lisa, please step up to the microphone and speak loudly and clearly.
Not like George.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Katie Hiltner. I'm here with the Winsted Public Library, and this is Lisa Ebert, who you all know. We're here tonight to just give you a brief overview of the library this past year. As you know, we continue to operate its regular business hours Monday through Saturday. I'm happy to report that this past year has been much more back to normal. In fact, our numbers are looking really good. I didn't bring them with me. I'm like, I was preparing everything. She always laughs at me because I do this. But I didn't bring numbers, but it's obviously better than when we had the closure the year before. Well, not closure, but adjustment to limited hours. So that's going very well. I want to always take this time to thank the city for your support for the book budget. We obviously couldn't do that without your support. Lisa adds new materials each month. It's a combination of purchased materials and donated materials. This past March, we actually secured a small grant from Penguin Random House. It was a grant for small and rural libraries. And we got $500, which allowed us to purchase new materials for the library, which was a huge bump for us. We're hoping to keep looking for other avenues for funding, obviously, for the book budget. Despite the growing costs of books, our book budget has remained flat since my time at the library. I think maybe I squeaked it up by like $250, not very much. So anything that the city can continue to do to help support the book collection is greatly appreciated. One of the things that we've still carried over, I'm trying not to laugh, but we've carried over from the adjusted hours, we're now back to regular hours, is our curbside pickup. And normally you'd think, oh, that's great, rainy weather, it's great during winter weather. It's also great when a squirrel puts an acorn in your drainage and you get water all over the library. And I want to do a shout out to Adam and to Amanda and to the mayor, because you all rose to the occasion. You know, you don't want bad things like that to happen, but boy, does this city give us support when we need it. So thank you. Really, really appreciate that. And I have to thank Lisa and Shelby. We only lost one book. It was one book that would have gotten discarded anyway. So I don't know how they did it, but they were fast acting. So, and Steve Ebert too should get credit for helping with cleanup. So it's a true team effort at the library. One of the items that I also wanted to talk about are the digital options at the library. Obviously, the desktop computers and printers are still a frequent request. This upcoming, by the end of this year or the beginning of next year, we're supposed to be updating the staff desktop as well as 2 patron desktop computers. And I did submit a funding request to the council, which I know you'll be considering for the computer upgrade. I'm hoping that the final cost is going to be less than what I quoted to you. It looks like it from the numbers they gave me. But that would just be maintaining our regular computer that we have for the public. Yeah, let's see. It sounds silly, but I wanted to, we gave you a handout to look at. And one of the featured items, which I think is really unique to the library that Lisa created, is the Free Book Fridays. Every week she puts a cart of free books outside with books and movies and audiobooks. And they're all based on donations and library discards, and people can come buy on Fridays and add to their own home libraries. People wait for this. Like, they are like waiting. I couldn't believe it when I was there, and people were just like, get me to my items. It was a rainy day, and they were like looking inside for the carts. That's pretty cool. It's a very unique feature of the library. And it keeps patrons coming in and helps build their home collections, so that's a good thing. And of course, now that I have a captive audience, I always like to talk about the library programming. We continue to find, Lisa and I can find creative ways to reach out to patrons. Last winter and spring, as a unit, the McLeod County Libraries offered a legacy program called Creating Art at Home. This was all legacy funded, completely free for patrons, and we got kits from the paint factory. So people could come to the library, get a whole kit, wooden sign, ready to go, paints everything, take it home free. This November, we're planning to do another legacy-funded take-home craft project for teen and adults, and more details will be coming. So we're pretty excited about that. Obviously, Lisa's weekly sidewalk story walks and craft kits continue to be popular. This fall's theme was woodland animals, and in the month of September, just to tell you, 200 kits went out. It's like people are crazy for her craft kits. They knock down the doors for those too, so it's neat to see the creative ways she comes up with to reach patrons. And then with October here, Lisa's once again offering her annual Booktoberfest. And again, I don't know how she did it, but people start asking about it in August. What have you picked for your book club? What are you going to do? And she calls it the world's easiest book club, and it features 3 top reading picks, which she selects. And it's the easiest book club. No meetings, no discussion, and no hassle, which is totally how she rolls. Just enjoy a book. Just, no fuss, no muss. So that's pretty cool to see that continuing each year. And she's also busy gearing up for the trick-or-treats that come on the 28th of October. And again, that brings in a lot of people. So, yeah. And then this winter, Lisa will be offering winter reading again. Sure to be another good program, and I wrote this down because she's going to roll her eyes. Like I said, Lisa works with the main theme and then makes it her own legendary library program. And that's what you have to know. I always say that she's the face of the library, and I love doing this to her in front of public, but she does. She does things, she knows this community, she knows what people want, she reflects back that to the library. So,
We try.
yeah, you do excellent. So, that's it.
Well, how about you, Lisa? Anything?
I have nothing to add to that.
Good.
I mean, thank you for stopping in and having, enough time to help me when the roof fell in, and I'm sorry that the roof fell in on you, but thank you so much for that.
If I may, city council members, with any successful program, it's really dependent on a staff that puts that together. And our library is more than successful, as you've demonstrated, and it's strictly because of your guys' efforts on it. I mean, A+, phenomenal. I really appreciate all the time and efforts you guys put in, because it is certainly noticed. I know our budget is limited for culture and recreation, but we do the best we can, and you guys go way above and beyond what we provide per se. So again, thank you so much for making the Winston Library a great asset to this community, and just know it does not go unnoticed. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I might also add that I happen to have in my home the biggest library fan in the world. And I think Lisa would confirm that.
I knew that too.
Well, thank you very much. Very much appreciated, really.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We've come to the open forum, and I again see no one out there that's going to address our.
One.
Oh, we have one.
Mayor, if you had just 1 minute for me. Before we meet, next November 1st is going to be the start of our parking ordinance, where there's no parking on the city streets between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. If you do need to park on the street, we ask that you call the police department at 320-485-2600 to obtain permission, and we ask that you speak with an officer and not just leave a message. Would be appreciated. Thank you.
No one else? I'll ask Adam if he has any announcements.
I do. We are scheduled to have an Economic Development Authority meeting this Thursday. I haven't determined yet if that meeting will proceed. But I do want to proceed, or excuse me, I do want to notify the city council that from an economic development standpoint, I do continue to meet with McLeod County Economic Development Commission, and they're making great strides in their implementation of their economic development efforts. And I also meet with a group of economic development professionals from the other communities in McLeod County. We meet monthly. We've termed it, or I guess I didn't term it, but members within that group have termed it McLeod County United. But we meet with, we usually invite some sort of speaker every month to kind of help educate us. And then we discuss different projects occurring in every community. And it's been extremely beneficial to myself and all of us as colleagues in driving economic development in McLeod County. I just see such a bright future because McLeod County currently has numerous people working in the same direction in terms of growing our tax base and providing those economic development opportunities here in McLeod County. So I just wanted to update the city council that those efforts are being made. I feel really good about where McLeod County as a whole is at and how these communities are working together, and look forward to continued growth in that area of services here in McLeod County. So with that being said, are there any questions for me this evening?
A question maybe on the south part of town, the manholes.
Yeah.
We're looking at having them foamed, best way I could
Yeah,
put it.
sure.
Did you have any luck on maybe getting that done this year?
Yeah, our staff reached out to the company and has been requesting that we get put onto this year's schedule. I haven't heard an update yet, whether that can be accompanied or not. Recognizing that the longer that we have efficient weather, the better those odds will be. I can update the fact that we are seeing progress in terms of some of the areas of issue that we had just in some of our sanitary sewer services. We had been experiencing some compliance issues regarding materials being flushed down the sanitary sewer lines. We've been working with the area, the customers in that area to limit that non-compliance, and we're seeing good results right now. So we're seeing some progress there. So that's exciting as we get into the winter season, so we can hopefully lessen our monitoring of that area with those items. But that's a long way of saying we're seeing some progress in that area. Sanitary sewer. Okay,
Any questions? Is that it?
that's all that I have this evening. Yep.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.